All right, are you ready for this? Algebra skills. Yes! We are going to combine like terms and learn to use the distributive property. And to be honest with you, these are two of the most important skills that you will use in algebra. We use them all the time. We even stop talking about them because they become innate. You just know to do them. And so I want to help you get on that path to being able to just use them and just have it be automatic. So let's start off with combining like terms. What does that even mean? Well, let's break it down. Break it down. Like terms, terms that have the exact same variable raised to the same power. For example, 3x, 5x, negative 16x, 54x. These are all like terms. Why? Because they have the exact same variable raised to the same power. And the power you don't see written there is 1. Anytime you have an exponent of 1, we don't write it down. Next one, 92j, negative 7j, 24j, negative 33j. These are like terms because every one of them has a j. Doesn't matter if they're negative or positive, it just matters that they have the same letter. 2y squared, 19y, negative 4y squared, 47y. Although every single one of these have a y, they are not like terms because they have different powers. Some of my y's are squared and some of them have an exponent of 1. Now if I just wanted to group up my 2y squared and my negative 4y squared, those are a match. But as an entire group, these are not alike. Which brings us to combining like terms, and that's basically the process of adding and subtracting or subtracting like terms. For example, I have 2x plus 5x plus 10x, take away 3x. We just add and subtract and we do it from left to right. 2x plus 5x, 7x, plus 10x gives me 17x. Take away 3x gives me that 14x. So you just add and subtract from left to right. That's all combining like terms is you just go for your matches. Try it again. Ooh, all of these m squared. Oh no, the problem got harder. Nope, they all have an m squared. So we can add and subtract from left to right. 34m squared plus 11m squared. We're up to 45m squared. Take away 2m squared, I'm at 43m squared. It doesn't matter that the m has an exponent. That does not change how you add or subtract. You just go from left to right. So let's practice. Okay. Whoa, those aren't all alike. 5a take away 2a plus 8 take away 7a plus 6. Some of them have terms which are a number and a letter, like the letter A, and some of them are just numbers. But what we're going to do is we're going to group up the ones that match. So you can use squares and rectangles, and I just go through it, and when you group them, I make sure you include the operation next to the number. For example, I'm going to put a circle around everything that has an A. I'm going to circle my 5a. I'm going to circle my negative 2a. That means that's the operation, add or subtract. And I'm going to circle my negative 7a. So I know those make a group. I'm going to put a rectangle around the terms that are just numbers. So here's a term, positive 8, another term, positive 6. So now I know which ones match. Now I just group them up. I'm going to take all my circles and I'm going to take 5a, take away 2a, take away 7a. That's basically what you're doing. 5a take away 2a is 3a. 3a take away 7a gives me negative 4a. Now we just do that with the rectangles. I've got a positive 8 plus positive 6 gives me positive 14. The last step is just put the two groups together. So I'll write negative 4a. I'm going to write plus 14 because it's positive 14. I just can't have a 14 just sitting there. And you can't group these up. I can't group up a negative 4a and a 14. That's the answer. As uncomfortable as it might be that this expression is the entire answer, yeah, that's the answer. And again, I write plus 14 because that 14 was positive. Had the 14 been negative, I would have written take away 14. So you need a sign there to distinguish between the two groups. Let's do it again. That was so much fun. Oh, wow, look at this beautiful problem. 7h plus 4h plus 3b take away 6 plus 9b. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Here we go. I'm going to start circling, and I'm just start with the first variable I see, which in this case is an h. So I'm going to circle my 7h, my positive 4h. And let's put a rectangle around those b's. I've got positive 3b and a positive 9b. Let's try triangles now. I'm going to triangle everything else. I've got a triangle around my negative 6, and it's all alone. Now the triangle looks pretty cool. Maybe I should have started with that. I kind of like it. All right, let's group up everything with the circle. So my 7h plus 4h, 11h. Let's go to the rectangles. I've got my 3b plus 9b, 12b. And since there's only one triangle, I just leave it as negative 6 or take away 6. I can't group it with anything. So again, we're just going to put the groups together. I'm going to write 11h. And what sign will I put in front of the 12b? A plus. Plus 12b. And I write take away 6. I know this answer just got uglier than the last one, but trust me, you cannot group anything else up here, and that's okay. It's like you have 11 horses plus 12 boys and negative $6. You just can't group it up any better than that. I mean, that's just how it is. I don't know. So that is the final answer. So practice on your own for a minute. Look at all of these options to choose from. I'll let you do all of them if you want. Pause the video, and when you come back, the answers will magically appear here. Although I don't believe it's actually magic. Welcome back to checking your answers. How did you do? Check out number 3. Did number 3 stump you? When you were grouping up your x's, 6x, and then there was a takeaway x, what number was right here? If we don't write a number next to a variable, it means it's 1. So that's why 6x take away x is 5x. Same with number 5. Notice here on number 5, I didn't write the number 1 in front of the a because it's assumed that it's 1. If you wrote 1a here, I'm not going to mark it wrong, but it is assumed if I have one apple, I just write, I've got an apple. But if I have more than one apple, you better believe I'm going to tell you I've got a lot more than one, and I'll write the number there. But if it's just 1, we just have a. If it's more than 1, if I have 2a, I'm going to write a 2 there. So just some math etiquette for you. We call it a little math grammar. So moving on to the distributive property. Oh, man, we use the distributive property a lot. It is so commonly used. You're going to use it in next week and the week after. It just keeps going. But just to backtrack for a minute, I want to remind you, anytime you see a number next to parentheses, it means to multiply. Like if I saw this 7 parentheses 3, that means 7 multiplied by 3, which is 21. This is still true even if I put an expression inside the parentheses, like this. 3 plus x is an expression. Because there's no equal sign, you can't solve it. They're not like terms. You can't do 3 plus x and group it up. But because the 7 is next to the parentheses, that means you have to multiply. So we need to multiply everything inside the parentheses by 7. And that's the distributive property. That's all it is. So we're going to do 7 times 3 and 7 times positive x. And what number's in front of that x that we didn't write? That's in front of every variable if we don't write the number there. It's 1. So 7 times 3 is 21. We already talked about that. And 7 times 1x is 7 times 1 is 7, 7x. So that gives us 21 plus 7x. That's the answer. There's no like terms. That's pretty much it. Okay. Might be a little fuzzy now, but we're going to do it again. It gets better. Trust me, it gets better. Another way to think about the distributive property is that you are giving or distributing the number outside of the parentheses to every number or letter inside the parentheses by multiplication. So everybody's going to get that number. And since we love multiplying, let's just multiply away. For example, I have 3 and then the parentheses, so the 3 is going to be multiplied by 2x take away 8. So we're going to give everybody a 3. And that's what it means. We're going to multiply 3 by the 2x. So you do 3 times 2, and I like to draw arrows. 3 times 2 is 6, and then I leave my variable, 6x. Now I have to give the 3 to this negative 8, so notice the sign has to go with it. And 3 times negative 8, a negative times a positive is a negative 24. And just like when you combine like terms, the last step is you group them up. I've got a positive 6x, a negative 24, so that's 6x, take away 24, final answer. I really do like drawing the arrows, so if it helps you stay organized, draw the arrows. They're my fave. All right, let's do it again. Oh, another note, the subtraction sign in front of the 24 means negative 24. I think you guys are catching on to that one, but just in case, it's in writing. All right, let's practice again. We've got 16 parentheses y plus 3. So everybody in the parentheses is getting a 16. How are they getting it? They're getting it multiplied because we're using the distributive property. And what number is in front of that y? The number 1. So we're going to do 16 times 1y, which is 16y. And then we're going to go 16 times 3, which is 48. So we have 16y plus 48. Can't group them up. Do it again. Oh my gosh, they're all so negative. I can totally understand if you want to shut the video off now. But if you wait, it could turn out to be a positive situation. All right, we've got a negative 8 next to the parentheses, which means to multiply. So everybody in parentheses is going to get that negative 8. So we're using the distributive property. Let's start it. Negative 8 times negative 3b. Negative times a negative is a positive 24b. Well, that was a nice start. Let's do it again. A negative 8 times a negative 12 is a positive 96. Look how good this turned out. And again, last step, group it up. 24b, positive 96, so that's 24b plus 96. That is your final answer. All right, it is time for you to work it on your own. Look at those pretty problems there, 5 of them. You cruise right through it and then come back and the answers shall appear. Welcome back to Find Your Answer on the right side of the screen. Here we go. Double check your answers. Did you get your signs correct? Always remember to get the correct signs. Okay, now if you thought we were done, oh no. Oh no, no, no. I've got more for you. Let's put it all together. And in reality, you usually see combining like terms and the distributive property all in the same expression or equation. Now, as you remember the rules for order of operations, they state that you have to always multiply before you're allowed to add and subtract. And that means, in our case, that we'll always use the distributive property before we can combine like terms. So we can't group up our matches if we have anything that needs to be multiplied, which the distributive property means we'll have to multiply. Woo! Look at this doozy here. 3k plus 4, parentheses, 2k minus 7, parentheses, plus 19. So did you clue in that right here in the middle of the problem is where you're going to need the distributive property? Absolutely. And that's the first thing you need to do. So we're going to do 4 times 2k, which is 8k, and 4 times negative 7, which is negative 28. So we're just going to write that 8k minus 28 right back in the middle of the problem. We just rewrite it. The 3k didn't change, but now instead of writing this expression, I write 8k minus 28. The plus 19 didn't change, it's still there. All right, is there any other multiplying? No. So let's combine like terms. And if you want to go ahead and add the circles and the rectangles, if it helps keep you organized, please go ahead. In this case, I have 3k plus 8k gives me that 11k. Negative 28 plus 19. Again, make sure that negative sign stays with that 28 because your answer on there is negative 9. So final answer, 11k, take away 9. So this massive problem that you probably were like, no, don't do it, run away, turned out to be 11k, take away 9. Not bad. Just stick with it. They get better because you get better at it. That's pretty much how it works. Let's do it again. I have 7x, take away 2, parentheses, 5k plus 9, parentheses, plus 8. All right, first step, we're going to use the distributive property to only the numbers in parentheses. What does that mean? Will I be taking this negative 2 and multiplying it by this positive 8 over here? No, because it's not in parentheses. So my first step is I'm going to do negative 2 times 5x, and a negative times a positive is a negative 10x. And negative 2 times positive 9 is negative 18. I leave the 7x alone. I'm just going to go write it right underneath it. Negative 10x, take away 18, and the positive 8 just comes down. And this is how my paper would look, probably, except I probably have arrows up here. Now I can combine like terms, and watch your signs. I go from left to right, so I can put circles around my 7x and my negative 10x, and that helps me know that 7x take away 10x is negative 3x, and then I have this negative 18 plus 8, and negative 18 plus 8 is negative 10, and I just put them together, and that's your final answer. 3x take away 10. All right, let's do one more together. Oh yeah, I added something else to it. We have a's this time. Negative 7a plus 4, parentheses, 3a, and that parentheses means multiply, plus 8, parentheses, 5a minus 2, parentheses. Would I use the distributive property here or here? Well, as a reminder, the distributive property is used only on an expression, so we can only use it here. Everybody in the parentheses is going to get an 8. That's 8 times 5a and 8 times negative 2. An expression has adding and subtracting in it. There is no adding or subtracting here. So I'm going to rewrite my problem. I'm going to write my negative 7a. I'm going to write my 4 times 3a. And I already multiplied 8 times 5 and gave me 40a. And I did 8 times negative 2 gives me negative 16. Now, we talked about that in order to use combining like terms, there can't be any multiplying going on. So I need to go ahead and multiply 4 times 3. 4 times 3a. So it's just 4 times 3, which is 12a. And I just substitute that right underneath it. Now I can combine like terms from left to right. And I've got negative 7a plus 12a. I think that gives me 5a. Plus 40a. Ooh, we're up to 45a. Is there any other numbers or just this take away 16? Hey, we just got take away 16. So that's it. Well, it was kind of nice. Leave the 16 alone. Negative 16. That's your final answer. Okay. See, not bad. Now it's your turn to play. Okay, yeah, pause me. You're like, oh, I pause you all the time. I can't stand listening to you anymore. All right, don't get all feisty. Come back when you're ready. And welcome back again to finding your answer on the right side of the screen. Here are the following answers. I want to go over a couple of them. Number 2, notice how I wrote them differently. Your answer could have been negative 2 take away 28m, or you might have written down negative 28m take away 2. That means the exact same thing, because this 2 is negative, and look right there, that 2 is negative. The negative 28m is still negative 28m. So you may have your answers right, but you might have written them in a different order. For example, on number 3, the 7y has to be positive and the 10 has to be negative. So if you wrote your answer as negative 10 plus 7y, that would be correct. So I just want you to understand that you could have the same answer as long as the sign is correct, or you might have it written in a different order. So, how did you do? I'm so excited. All right, so now you can move on with confidence using the distributive property and combining like terms, because you are awesome. Way to go. Keep up the great work and keep improving your algebra skills.